Well, good morning. How are you all today? And welcome to American Reversion. I'm Steve Smith. If you're new to us, I'm glad that you're here. I want to welcome all the new people, both here on YouTube and here on Patreon, wherever you're watching this. We've had a lot of people join both lately. It's great to see both of these channels growing because not only does that mean that more people are getting this information, but we have more people contributing, especially over on the Patreon channel. And I don't mean just monetarily contributing. I mean contributing in comments and things like that. This is the battlefield of today. It's the battlefield that we would like to win the battle on so that we don't have to go to the next one, right? Any of you guys, some of you know what I mean by that. Before I get started, just a reminder that all of my videos are brought to you by my books, the Stone Mott series. It's about how to survive, how to prepare, how to survive, how to rebuild after a total collapse. And it's about the way that America was supposed to be and should be. And if you haven't read them yet, even though this isn't the preparedness channel, even though this is more the political channel, I think you'd like them. Of course, I named this channel after my first book, The Reversion, getting back to the way it says when everything collapsed, some were ready to start over. Are you ready to start over? I think you are, probably, if you're here. Seemed like there was a couple of other things I was going to say. Oh yeah, the books. Yeah, I should tell you that. They're available on Amazon. The link is down below. You can get them in paperback or Kindle, or you can get them directly from me through our website, stonemont.us. I'll put that link down below also in the information section and a pinned comment. You can get them there from me autographed if you'd like. I had somebody ask me to put a coffee stain on one of the pages. He said, "To go ahead and sign it out to me, and then put in something pithy that Jim Wyatt would say." That's the main character of the book, and a coffee stain because I'm always drinking coffee, and so is Jim Wyatt. So that's that. If you haven't read my books, I think you'd like them. And by the way, a special thank you to everybody who is joining on the Patreon channel. That really helps. Everything that we bring in through the Patreon channel goes directly to helping us promote what we're trying to promote, which is taking this country back to the way that it ought to be, whether it's fixable or whether we come out the other end of something else. We have yet to see. Okay, I had something else on the plate for today. Marla Flint sent in a post about over on the Integrated Preparedness channel about the new North American agreement. Oh, by the way, yes, I am wearing one of the new designs of the Stone Mott t-shirts. I guess I should say that. I get all wrinkled up in here. Somebody mentioned, why don't you have some American Reversion t-shirts? Great idea. I will get right on that. But so I'm going to work. I have posted the link that she sent me about the North American agreement already on the Patreon page, but I'm going to hold off and cover that probably tomorrow because something else came up. If you have been, hopefully you've been checking the Patreon page. There's a lot of stuff I put up over there. They are just drilling. First off, the censure of Adam Schiff, them going after Christopher Wray. I want to read something here also from, who was it from here? From Full Circle. And I think he makes a good point here. There is just a great speech that I put up on the Patreon channel from Anna Paulina Luna. Just taking them to the woodshed about Adam Schiff. I'm going to get back to the comment in a minute. And then the Declaration of North America come out from the White House. It's a scary thing. That's what Marla sent in that we'll be talking about tomorrow. Some stuff here. Lauren Boebert is taking people to the woodshed. Matt Gaetz, there's another video in there about him just excoriating Durham. The some people had high hopes for Durham, the Durham report. He's just a show like any else. And then another one, Chip Roy went after Durham. Those are worth watching. Finally, the one that I'm going to talk about today, The Chilling Truth, and it is a statement made by Harriet Hageman, from I think she's from Montana. Isn't she from Montana? If she's not, I apologize. I think she's Montana, either Montana or Wyoming, but I think it's Montana. And it is an excellent, excellent piece. So all of those are on the Patreon channel. If you haven't seen them yet, make sure that you go over there and see them. Before I get into this, I want to read a comment, and it was in response to Anna Paulina Luna's just blistering attack on Adam Schiff in the House. And I want to read this from Full Circle because he has a great point, but I think it's something that we all need to keep in mind. He says, I'm proud of the young lady for sure, but alas, is it just more outraged theater? Well, yes, we wonder that, don't we? What will it really accomplish in the long run? There will be no real changes, no real punishment like the common man would face. Same with ongoing Durham congressional hearings. None of the leadership changed or arrested. Not trying to blackpill, but it seems to be so much bread and circuses. I agree 100%. A Full Circle. I mean, we cover these things, and every time something comes out, I think it is important to keep up on them and not ignore them. And I know you're not saying to ignore them at all. And he goes on, he says, and I agree, bread and circuses, right? To the extent, do I think that everybody is participating in just bread and circuses? No, I don't. I think that some of them are very sincere. And some of these bulldogs are very sincere. I think Gates is sincere. I think Roy is sincere. I think MTG is sincere. I think Beaupert is sincere. I guess those two are having some problems, right? Doesn't matter as long as they work for us. He goes on. But, yes, I agree. Bread and circuses for most of them. Kevin McCarthy? Okay. But do we have some in there really fighting? I think maybe we do. We'll get to this in a minute. He says the term failed state just keeps coming to mind, and it seems to fit all of this theater. Maybe my own confirmation bias, well, ours too, I agree with you. No consequences means no change in behavior, and in fact empowers those evil entities. It seems like nice and follow the rules of decorum has failed miserably. Well, I agree with you 100%, Full Circle. And I wanted to put that out there because I believe many of us feel this way. But does that mean necessarily that nothing will ever change? And I don't think that's what it means. So the one that I put up today was, or the most recent one, I put up several. The one I wanted to talk about was Harriet Hageman's. She went after Durham. Man, it was worth watching. And when you go there, it takes you to the article on Red State, and during the article it has all the text written out, but then it has her 5-minute statement broken up into 3 parts. All 3 are working. And finally, what she says is she asked Durham, how long do you think this nation can last under this system of dual justice? And his statement there was, the nation can't stand. Okay, that's what I want to kind of address today. I agree. The nation can't stand. Now, I think very often we have a tendency, we want to see, of course, immediate results. It becomes tiring, it becomes exhausting, it becomes disheartening to see time after time the criminals, or the hoes, as somebody was it, I think it was over, we had somebody on the Integrated Preparedness channel say, let's call them hoes for holders of office. Holders of the office. I think that's great. So we get tired of seeing the hoes get away and away and away and away with stuff, right? It never seems to apply to them. They will attack our side. It seems like they have ruined so many lives on our side for the simplest of things. Remember Flynn? Okay, we go back way before that. Look what they're doing to Trump. They destroy and they destroy and they destroy. But because we on our side tend to fight fairly, which is a problem. You know, I'm not going to say anything on here, but you know, if you find yourself in a fair fight, your tactics suck, right? And they just tear us apart. So even though we would expect in those minds of ours who were raised to believe in justice, right? Remember Superman? Truth, justice, the American way? The American way. We can argue whether that ever was an American way, and we'll have different opinions, and I would be able to point out in some cases it was, in some cases it wasn't. Okay. But it's not working anymore. Okay. We have long crossed the Rubicon on that. Is there any coming back? No, I don't think so. So why do we continue to fight? Why do we continue to work against this? Well, if we don't, we're just victims. Okay. If we fight against it, we're at least participants in the fight. What would we get out of the fight? Well, we get a say into how things happen. Who knows to what extent, but we get a say on how it affects us. Now we've seen, and I agree with Durham, and I think he was a big putz. He's just the latest in a long line of putzes, you know, for whom there were great expectations, and they turned out to be the same swamp characters they've always been. Now he came out with some good information, very carefully crafted, linguistically crafted, so as to not sound as horrible as it really is. And I tell you, you need to watch Chip Roy and Gates go after him. And then, of course, Harriet Hagman. But he was the same old milquetoast. He came out with stuff, but they point out how he didn't do so many things that he should have. We can argue, I suppose, and let's don't, because we can all have our opinion, and our opinions are going to be based on different things as to whether or to what extent people like Gates and Roy and Hagman and MTG and Beaupert are sincere, and to what extent they will continue to fight. We don't know. We know the noises they're making now. We know the moves they're making now, but we don't know what's going to end up, you know. Power and money, blackmail can do funny things, right? I know I'm up here waving this cup. Stonemont cups ought to be coming out pretty soon. Somebody says, why not an American Reversion cup? And I say, great idea. I'll get it right on that. Because what would be a better conversation starter at work than to have an American Reversion cup, right? And your coworker says, what's that? And you get to talk about things. So what's going to happen? The important thing that I think was after Hagman went on for about 5 minutes, and at the end she says, how long can this nation last? I've said before, I don't know if I've covered it here or just on integrated preparedness, I don't consider our country as ever having been a nation. There's a difference between a country and a nation. We are a country. We are not and never have been a nation. Okay, but that's an interesting thing to talk about. And because when you talk about nationhood, you're talking about nationalism. And I think that's an important thing to talk about. And I think I'm going to get into that in the future. His answer was, this nation cannot stand. So now we're back to that. I agree. If you've read John Glubb's Fate of Empires, which if you haven't, you should. It's not very long, and you can find it online on the internet for free in a PDF. It's 30 pages long or something like that. He tracks and he shows how every empire in history has gone through their bell curve of ascension and their peak and their descent over a period of about 250 years. We are in the decline, approaching the bottom, in my opinion, of that. And so I don't see that this, I think that Durham said that is exactly right. The nation cannot stand, and it cannot stand because of a number of reasons. A dual justice system, a system where the elites are not held to account and the serfs are held to extreme account. January 6th, anybody, right? We can look at the infiltration of communism and communists into our government, into our institutions, into our educational system, into our corporations. You believe that? Communism driving the corporations, interesting, right? In our churches, even into our families, because it came through that. It came through education. It came through the churches. It came through the government. And finally, it infected the weak among us. And there are always more weak people than there are strong people. And so if you want the numbers, you always have to set your standards as low as possible. Well, they have, and they got the numbers. And as a result, just like Joe Stalin is said to have said, quantity has a quality all its own, right? They've got the numbers. They have, I think, been successful if not complete destruction of our country, at least they're destroying it. You know, it's like it's like a house eaten with termites. I remember one of the first scenes in the book Atlas Shrugged, and there's another one. If you haven't read Atlas Shrugged, you should. Everyone should read Atlas Shrugged. And I believe in the first chapter, and I forget the character's name, was it Eddie something? I forget. And it talks back when he saw a tree, a mighty oak tree. And one day a storm came, and that tree had fallen over. A tree that looked like it would never fall over. And when he went to inspect it, he saw that tree had been eaten through from the inside out until it was nothing more than a shell, little more than a layer of bark, but it had been eaten out by insects and termites and whatever, okay? Well, that's our country. That's the United States of America. It's been eaten out from the inside. You know, what do I say? Do I say, is there something on the back of the Reversion? The back of the Reversion. It's an excerpt from the book. I'll just read this very quickly. Here's a National Guard. After the collapse, a National Guard captain has come to Stonemont and said, we need to inventory all your supplies in case we need to redistribute it. Jim Wyatt said, no, you're not. And here's what he says. He says, Captain, the U.S. government long ago turned away from serving the interests of the American people and declined into a despotic organism which took from those who were productive and gave to those who were not. In essence, Captain, the government became a facilitator for parasites who eventually destroyed their host's ability and willingness to support them. That's not going to happen again. I don't know what you mean, said Collins, that's the captain, obviously confused and irritated. This is nonsense. Jim leaned back in his chair. I'm not surprised that you don't know what I mean, Captain. You must have gone to government schools. But as far as being nonsense, it is not. It was the government programs of the past 50 years that were nonsense and which destroyed our country's ability and will to defend against the kind of things that happened to us. They were too busy making economic and political war on those who believed in the founding principles of this country to focus on the real enemies. Or maybe they did it on purpose. Who knows? It doesn't matter now. What matters is that we may have been given an opportunity to start over, and if so, we're sure as hell not going to do it by taking some people's stuff away from them and giving it to other people. Not again. Around here, any giving, taking, and exchanging of private property will be voluntary between free men and women. Is that clear, Captain? Several paragraphs later, Kelly puts a bullet through the captain's head because he won't go along with that. The first part that I read there is exactly what happened. So our country's been gutted. What happens next is yet to be determined, and it's going to be determined by those who are willing to stand up and try to work against this or fight back. Take the country back, right? How do we do that? Well, that's not for this one. But there are those who prefer to stay on the sidelines and say it's over, it's not worth fighting, it's silly to keep fighting, I just want to hide. Well, that's their business. But they have just declared that they want to be continuing victims and not part of any kind of solution. We want to be part of a solution. This nation cannot stand, this country, because I don't call it a nation, this country cannot stand much longer without an extreme change. Without an extreme change, and that comes from the hearts of the people, which I don't see happening, our decline will simply slow down at points and then continue, and then slow down and continue. But at some point, it will all come apart. All empires do. All countries do. At some point. We're living through the decline right now. The decision that each of us have to make is what we are going to do in order to either stop or slow down that decline or redirect that. Sometimes if the bus is going down a hill, you got to jump off, right? You got to jump off. If you can't jump up there and take the wheel away from the maniac who's driving you down the hill, you got to get off, or you're going to be a part of the crash. And we would prefer not to be that, right? Okay. Interested in hearing your comments on this. Go over to the Patreon channel. If I didn't mention this, for those of you who are not yet with us on Patreon, it's only $1. The link is down below. Read those things that I've put up. Watch the videos. And, part of what we need to do is our communication with the world around us, our friends and neighbors and family. This gives you the material. It gives you the ammunition to fight that fight. So go over there, watch that. Leave your comments. Leave your comments because they help other people. Give us your ideas. Give us your thoughts. If you're new to us, we don't make threats here. We don't call for violence. We don't do any of that stuff. Any real solution is a political solution, which includes separation. Okay. You all have a good day. Remember that America needs a reversion. It needs every one of us to be a part of it. Who wants to be a part of a reverted America? And get out there and do what you can today. Spread the word, spread the message, spread this video. Please like it, please comment, please share it. You can share all my videos. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.